You're now listening to the Art of Reinvention show hosted by your boy TeflonJohn, where my goal is to change the world one person at a time by provoking thought. And you're now in the right place to receive motivation, inspiration, so you can make it throughout your day, so you can make it throughout your week. And so like I said, I just want you guys to sit back and just absorb all the content. And as I always say, one love, be blessed.
It's a shocking story. A fifth grader in South Carolina dies after a classroom fight at her elementary school. CNN's Victor Blackwell is following this story and walk us through what we know here and what we don't.
So there are a lot of questions here, but we do have some answers. Let me take you back to Monday afternoon at Forest Hills Elementary School in Walterboro, South Carolina, just about an hour's drive west of Charleston, where there was a fight between 10-year-old Raniya Wright and another fifth grader. That other student has not been identified, but what we know from police is that there was an altercation between these two students, a fight, and this Raniya Wright was sent to the nurse's station there, where she was described as unconscious but breathing. Then she was sent to a local hospital, then airlifted to the Children's Hospital in Charleston, where this photograph was taken and posted by her mother. We know that just yesterday, 10-year-old Raniya died. Now, we don't know why. That has not been released by the family. There is an autopsy scheduled for tomorrow, and those answers are expected. Now, when it comes to the school, there is an executive meeting that's been going on for most of this hour where they have to answer the questions. Were these students unsupervised? How soon after the fight was she sent to the nurse's station? Lots of questions here. We know that other student has been suspended. No criminal charges filed.
Wow, so that's how we're going to begin our show today. You know, once again, this is TeflonJohn coming to you courtesy of the Art of Reinvention podcast show. And today's show is all about that fifth grader who lost their life from, just an altercation, just a fight that you think that kids will go to school and have riffraff and disagreements and make it home. And tonight I brought my special guest with me, my brother from another mother, MarTrey Stevens, who is a powerful motivational speaker. And this is somebody who actually impacts a lot of kids. So I thought it would be perfect for him to actually jump on this subject. So I'm going to let MarTrey sit back and introduce himself to you for all of y'all who didn't catch the last episode. All right, MarTrey, it's on you, brother.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, MarTrey Stevens, Mighty Motivation. I'm your youth motivator, your youth mentor, your youth server. Just here to help wherever I can. Jonathan, again, and thanks for having me on. It's always an honor to just connect with you and deal with you. And I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Word. Same here, man. Same here. And for those of you who don't know, like I said, MarTrey is nominated for Citizen of the Year for the area of Bedford County, man. And I wish you the best with that nomination, man. Just continue to grind. And like I said, he's doing it for purpose. He's not doing it for recognition. And look what he's got. He's got recognition for going after his purpose. And so, MarTrey, let's get into it, man. So I'm pretty sure you've pretty much heard that, a fifth grader lost her life after fighting with two girls at school. And it's tragic, man, because I think that we live in a time nowadays where it used to be school was one of the safest places to send your child. But now you're hearing these stories where, someone sent their child to school in fifth grade, man. They're barely 11 years old, but you're sending your kid to school to get education, to hopefully, get a couple meals while you're at work so you can come home and see, your child. And, she didn't make it home, That young lady did not make it home. And you see a lot that we're dealing with in schools as far as bullying. You got teachers, that are underpaid, overworked. So, MarTrey, what could have contributed to this from a systematic standpoint?
In my personal opinion, it's respect. It's just a matter of respect for your peers, a matter of respect for authority, a matter of respect of where you are. But before this even goes into the school system, before it happens, on other grounds, I think the main place is at home. It's just the respect at home. So if these kids aren't respectable in their own household, they're going to go other places and they're going to act like this. I mean, back in the day, and, I'm not that old, but back in the day, it was just certain things that you wouldn't do. There's just certain things that you wouldn't do because you knew you would get in trouble for it. You knew how your parents would react. You knew how the people that took care of you will react. And, fighting or, beating somebody to death in school, I mean, that's a little overboard, and it starts at home, you know what I'm saying? And I remember my mom used to tell me, she said, I don't send you to school to fight, but you ain't no punk either. But that don't mean go to school looking for something. That don't mean go to school and be disrespectful to the people that surround you. It's just a matter of fact that don't get picked on, don't be nobody's punk. But it's just a matter of respect that a lot of these kids today, they just don't have. So when they go to school, they're in an environment where they're around their peers, they're easily influenced, and they just go out on a tear and have no remorse about the things that they're doing.
Yeah, man. It's just getting out of hand because since I've been coaching, I've never seen so many young kids, young kids with no respect for anyone. And I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, no respect for anyone to where you're breaking up fights, they're talking back to you, they're cursing. And like you said, they get it from home, because a lot of times when you start to wonder why a kid does what they do, why they act the way they act, a lot of times it's learned behavior. No one taught them that. It's just something that they came up and they witnessed. But when you meet the parents, sometimes you have that compassion, like, man, I see why this child is the way they is. But the sad thing about it, if you're a coach, MarTrey, or if you're a mentor, or if you're a teacher, you're only around this kid for so much time. Eventually they have to go home, where they're actually influenced and where they actually get most of their behavior from. So, and I think you really hit it on the head, man, because in school you have fights and you have altercations, but something had to happen. I mean, I think this young girl was fighting two other girls. And I think when you look at bullying and you look at the different dynamics of bullying, as far as, you have kids that go to the teacher, or kids that may say and try to report something, but nothing's being done. And then you have kids that just don't care. They come to school and make people's life, just tremendously hard to just come to school and function. And I guess you do get to the point where you're just tired of it, because like I said, my mom raised me like you're not going to go to school and just fight anybody, but you're not going to just get hit and sit there. You know what I'm saying? So you got to learn how to defend yourself. So let's talk about that fine line. Like, what is that fine line, MarTrey, that you would tell your child? Like, because you see where this got. So you don't know if somebody was trying to defend themselves. We don't know who really started this altercation, but where's the fine line between defending yourself and just taking it too far?
It's just about protecting yourself. So, it's very great to defend yourself, because you don't want anybody to walk over top of you. You don't want anybody to take advantage of you. But, at what point do, you stop? And it's just a matter of, decision making. I mean, you see it in law enforcement all the time. When does it, they call it use of force. So you're only able to do the force that's necessary to subdue somebody when it comes to police officers or correctional officers. The minute you become the aggressor, the minute it becomes a problem. So that's why you see a lot of, even for adults, you see a police officers killing, innocent people. They're choking people out. They're dying. They're slamming kids to the ground. And you see the videos is because they don't know when to stop. They don't know when to, stop from protecting themselves to becoming the aggressor. And a lot of times, if I was to teach my own daughter, is the first thing I'm teaching is to have confidence in yourself. So what nobody says to you should be able to bother you. So you put in enough information into your child that they believe in themselves, that when somebody's bullying them, they don't believe it. And, you get them connected to other kids that, are that will, lift them up. We have a lot of programs in Bedford for girls and boys to where they get together and they work together. And you meet a lot of friends that uplift you instead of tear you down. So when you have people in your corner, you don't have to believe the bullying. You don't have to believe you're ugly. You don't have to believe the gossip. You can just go about your day by being confident in yourself. But there's just so many kids that just want to be the aggressors. And like I said, the problem with being the aggressor is a lot of these kids just want attention because they're not getting it at home.
Exactly.
So you want to get into a fight at school because you get some attention from it. And you might be doing it because you want some attention from your parents, right? Maybe you notice me now. Maybe you see that, I need you now. So getting into a fight may be a way of them expressing their anger for, nobody not being there for them, nobody not talking to them, because a lot of with social media these days, with the cell phones and the tablets, a lot of these parents are giving them stuff just to want them to get out of their way. And they don't know it's hurting their opportunity to become social. So there are a lot of kids out here that are not that social, and they're around kids that are angry the way that they're angry, and they're taking it out on people who don't deserve it. So, the fine line is, you have to know that point to where you got to back down to where you're not the aggressor anymore. You have to say, okay, I'm protected. All right, cool.
Yeah, and I think there are many angles when you look at this of how someone could, start a fight if they're going against two people. Like I said, maybe maybe they were going at it, and maybe they just got tired of it and they were going to the teacher and nothing was being done. Or, maybe they were just being bullied and the teacher had done all that she could. And this day, the aggressors took it too far and she just tried to do the best she could. But I think the reality of it is this is the worst case scenario. So not only can parents and teachers and school systems learn, but kids can also learn too. Like, no matter how big and bad you are, like, things happen, and like, and like I was saying at our March Madness event, it takes 2 seconds for something to happen that can affect the course of the rest of your life. Now you're looking at 2 girls that are probably going to be, depending on how that situation or the altercation started, that could be looking at like a murder 2 charge or at least manslaughter. If it was like a consensual altercation where they just both got into it, you know what I'm saying, and something happened, you're looking at one being put in the ground and the other 2 possibly spending a lot of years in jail or even prison. You know what I'm saying? So you're losing a total of 3 kids to society that needs them, and you're looking at parents now that are affected on both sides. One has lost a child and the other 2 are probably going to lose those too. So when you look at that, man, you just wonder, like, what more can we do? Like people like me and you, we go out to the schools and we speak, but we're only one person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you speak every week. I'm going to speak to a group of kids tomorrow, and I often have this type of stuff in the back of my mind, but it's not. A lot of people don't deal with these type of subjects until it actually happens. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think the approach that me and you and other motivational speakers take is we take the proactive stage and better instead of being reactive. Because now all of a sudden when these kids see you come in and you're trying to talk to them, they know, oh, you're only talking to us due to this situation that just happened. Or you're only talking to us because old boy got shot. Or you're only talking to us because someone came in and shot up our school, or there's a tragedy or whatnot. So we have to be proactive in reaching our kids and trying to build that bridge. And when it comes to building a bridge, MarTrey, where you want to build a bridge of trust to where a child that's being picked on or a child that may have a problem of aggression, anger, can come to you, what do you recommend of how to build that bridge of trust?
You have to be there before anything happens. So, and my biggest thing is a lot of kids just want to be heard. I know as adults, we like to do a lot of the talking. We like the kids to sit there and listen to us talk. Well, at what point do we get the kids' point of view? What point do we try to understand their feelings and emotions? Because, at that, growing up when I was younger, a lot of adults used to say, well, you're not old enough to be going through anything. Wait till you get older. Wait till you have to start paying bills. Wait till you have to start doing this. Wait till you have to start doing that. You're not going through anything. That's not true. I mean, most adults would be able to survive in these high schools and middle schools and even some of these elementary schools now, because it's just so different than what it used to be. I mean, with the age of social media, with the influence that it has on people to where you can see every single day how some adults live behind the scenes, it influences their character. So with a lot of these kids, man, it's just the fact of they're going through something and nobody's listening. Everybody wants to talk and nobody's actually taking it back and say, hey, let me hear what you have to say. Let me listen to you. And then take that and believe them of what they're saying and try to help them as much as possible. So I believe the way to bridge the gap is listening. Just simply listening to the things that the kids have to say. And when I go speak to, the younger kids, I give them a chance to listen. And most of the time, Jonathan, I don't even get a chance to say much because they want to talk so much. And my daughter's the same way. She just wants to talk so much. And I think sometimes for adults, we just have to sit back and listen and be able to give them their wisdom that goes along with what they're saying. That way it can help them in the long run. But, we can be selfish adults and want to talk their heads off. Hey, you do this, you do that, and go on about your business. And the next thing is, you have to lead by example. If kids see somebody like me and you where they know we're out trying to help people, then they will come to us because they trust us.
Yep.
Just by the event we did on Friday, a lot of those kids may see us and they feel comfortable talking to us. And I asked them a question Friday. I was, how many of y'all feel comfortable talking to your parents? And a few of them didn't raise their hands. And I know why they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents, because they feel like their parents don't understand. But we're relatable. So, nothing against parents, but it's just like some kids just see you as not being relatable because you're their parent. So if you get another adult that they look at, that they think is cool, that they really like, that they admire and really look up to, that's probably going to open up to them more. I know it's unfair, but for their age, for a lot of younger people, it's just the way it is, because we like to feel like that our parents just won't understand, that they're just going to come down hard on us, that they're just going to be this type of way because you're their parents. But for us, as mentors and motivators, I think a lot of people will open up and talk to us about things because they trust us that we are there to help. And for the teachers, there are a lot of teachers that want to help, and there are a lot of teachers that are still stuck in their old ways to where you do it this way, you do it that way, you do it my way. I don't want to hear nothing else about it. And a lot of these kids just don't respond to that. They want to see you lead by example. They want to see you out doing the things that you talk about.
Man, I agree with you 100%. I mean, like I said, I couldn't agree with you anymore. That they have to trust you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to build trust. And number one, you have to listen to gain that trust. And MarTrey, I want to take that one step further. Like, after you've gained that trust, you have to show them that you're not going to pass judgment right away. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, once you listen to their situation, sometimes you've gained that trust of listening, but now when you pass judgment and you don't want to understand and try to reason with them, now you've lost them forever. And I think that, when you're not passing judgment and when you can relate, stop trying to be so perfect. When you can relate, like you've been there before, now you can really get down to the root cause and do a real root cause analysis and see, okay, what is the real issue that's driving this kid? What is the real issue that's pushing this kid towards bad behavior?
And it's funny that you say that, is because all the time in mentoring, we tell the kids all the time, we're not perfect either. And we always talk about when we were their age, the stupid stuff we used to do. So it opens them up a lot of like, hey, he's not perfect. Hey, he's not the clear sheet guy. He's been through the same things I've been through. And we tell them about the dumb stuff that we used to do, the trouble we used to get in. And it opens them up because they realize that, hey, they were in the same position that I am, and look at them now. So you have to be relatable. And there's so many people, they refuse to have their testimony. I have no problem with telling people in my testimony. I have no problem telling people that I used to be an alcoholic. I have no problem telling people that I used to be suicidal. I have no problem telling people that I used to, do stupid stuff. Because if you're able to see where I'm at now, and you're able to hear my story from where I used to be, you understand that there is hope for people. And a lot of kids just need to understand that their parents weren't perfect, the people that they look up to weren't perfect. And if you're able to not try to be perfect all the time, it'll make things even better for you because you understand that, hey, I will make some mistakes, but it is a way to fix my mistakes.
Exactly. And I think parents need to listen up because you have a group of parents And I've seen this before. Even when I grew up, I've seen this before, that you've done things, but now you're going to play the role because your child doesn't know you the way you know you. And you're playing this perfect role, and you'll never be able to get through to your child until you can at least relate and show some type of compassion. Now, not saying that they should keep doing and making the same type of mistakes, but they are young. They are young. You know, they haven't developed judgment, but don't forget where you came from. You know what I mean?
Right.
Never forget where you came from, because you're going to need, somebody else is going to need that same type of compassion someone showed you one day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it may be your child that needs that type of compassion.
Like my father used to tell me all the time, you know what I'm saying? He used to tell me, you know, I went to prison. I made the mistakes that y'all ain't got to make. He said, I made enough mistakes in my lifetime so where you and your brother don't have to make the same mistakes. So, you know, my daddy going to prison for, you know, selling drugs. I remember growing up, they had what they called a hilltop in Bedford, and that's where the known drug dealers would be at selling drugs. And my grandmother lived right adjacent to that hilltop. And under no circumstance could we go across the hilltop. And the only way to get to the park is going across the hilltop. And I remember I stepped foot past the stop sign trying to get there to the park, and my daddy pulled up. And he was like, yo, what you doing? And I was like, we're going to the park. He said, you know you're not supposed to be on the hilltop. So I had to go back to my grandmother's. But he just instilled in us that, you know, from his past, that we could have a future. So I don't have to make the same mistakes he made. So my dad was so relatable that I understood the consequences at an early age of some of the things that I would do, you know, before I did it. So, like I said, if you think about the consequences, a lot of people won't do the stuff that they do. I mean, you sit there and you think about it, hey, this could happen. Hey, that could happen. So if two girls is beating up on another girl, and somebody got to start thinking about the consequences. Somebody got to put their phone down and start recording the fight to try to think about, hey, this girl could die. This girl could be in some serious injury. I mean, even if the girl doesn't die, even if the ambulance has to come, even if there's blood, you know, anywhere, like, somebody got to kick in and start thinking about the consequences.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I believe that, you know, I haven't seen a lot of details about this case, MarTrey, but I guarantee you, man, there's probably cell phone video floating somewhere.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, and then when you look at it, I feel sorry for these kids, because I remember when I went to school, especially middle school and elementary school, if you got picked on or bullied, or say if you did get into a fight and you lost, no one could share that 1,000 times. You know what I'm saying? No one could just post that on Snapchat. No one could send it to somebody through email or inbox somebody to fight. And imagine having to see that and hear that all day long. Or you didn't come to school wearing the latest, greatest gear, or, you know what I'm saying, somebody's picking on you and they videotape that. You know what I'm saying? They video that through their phone and they share it. And now you have to go to school every day with that hanging over your head. And so now you see how the effects of depression, you know what I'm saying, can stem from social media. And now that thing is being shared and everybody knows. And now we see how this suicidal thing can easily happen in school, and it's like an epidemic. There was another case, I believe, where a bully told someone, you should just go kill yourself. And the boy went home and did it. And it's to the point to where, okay, as parents, we have to really teach our kids who they are and tell them who they are before someone else does that. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop being outworked, you know what I'm saying, as parents, because if you don't instill that in your children, somebody else is going to tell them who they are. You know,
And if you're a parent and you listen to this, I just want to say one thing. You know, I know a few parents that told me that their kids were being bullied in elementary school. So I'm like, kids are bullied in elementary school? And they was like, yeah, man, it's a lot of gossip, a lot of he say, she say. They're talking about this person. I'm like, in the elementary school? I started to think about it, and I'm like, they're getting this from home. They're getting this from home, Jonathan. They're listening to their parents on the phone talk about other people. They put people, a lot of people, social media, Facebook, they're public. And all you got to do is go in there and see what your mama and your daddy posting on Facebook. And they're setting the example. If you wonder why the kids are acting the way that they're acting, it's because they see it. They see it all the time. I'm seeing adults on Facebook fighting. I'm seeing videos all over the place. They're arguing. and the kids are sitting back watching, and they're taking notes. So when this happens in the school, a lot of people need to look in their own household and say, this is where it starts at.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of people, a lot of kids, right? A lot of parents are allowing their kids to watch all this reality TV trash, you know? And I know it's entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Love and Hip Hop and Black Ink Crew. I know it's entertaining, but I believe being exposed to that too early can condition the brain that dysfunctional behavior is normal. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm gonna say that one more time for the parents. If you expose your kids to this stuff too early, you will condition their brain that this dysfunctional behavior is now normal. Because right. You see a lot of people. I remember when I think it was Desperate Housewives of Atlanta. I think that's the show, and there was a character named Nene, and she had like this crazy attitude, and she was like, you know, the whole big bad person. And before you know it, you seen people on your jobs, people in your family that watch that show trying to emulate her, you know, curse people out and tell people how it is and all this. But what you're seeing is it's cool to argue and fight because that's what they do on TV. Now realizing that these people are probably getting $10,000 to $15,000 per episode to act a fool, to be belligerent. But in reality, no one else wants to work with them. That's why you see some of them get stuck in reality TV. They don't get movie roles. They don't get sitcom show roles because when you act like that and conduct yourself a certain way, there's a stigma that comes along with that. That you know what, you're not professional. You can't be in control of your emotions. Therefore, we can't work with you. And
that's right.
You don't want to be trolled. You do not want to be trolled, puppeted, and someone's really controlling you because you have an anger issue or because you have a social issue and you feel like, because I can't show this person respect, I'm going to tell it like it is. I don't care who say. That's a bad way to be because there's always someone better than you. Always. You know,
right.
And if there's something on the inside or, your dad's not there, your mom's not there, talk to someone. There's someone that will listen to you. You may have to go and try several people, but there is someone that you can confide in that will listen to you. There are professionals.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there are professionals that sign that take an oath that they can't, through confidentiality clauses, they can't share your information unless, they're trying to get you help. You know what I'm saying? So if you can just touch up on that, MarTrey, like the importance of if you got something internal, if you got these anger issues, how to get help and where to seek help.
Oh, absolutely. First thing I want to say is to the parents that's listening, to the teachers, if you're listening, we get it. We get that kids are going to be kids. Kids are going to do kid things. But now, jumping somebody and a girl dying, bringing guns to school, bringing drugs to school, bullying other kids to, commit suicide is no longer a kid thing. This is bigger than just kid behavior. And it's, like you said, it's learned behavior that's coming from somewhere else and likely the household. So you have to find a time to sit down and have a conversation with your kids. Come home, talk with them, see how school was. And if they just say, if they're distant about it and they just say it was good and they don't want to talk much about it, then we have a problem. That should be your first sign that we have a problem if they don't want to talk to us, especially if we're talking elementary school, especially if we're talking early middle school, because like I said, these kids love to talk. And the fact that they're not talking to you, that should be your first sign that something's going on. Second thing is get to the bottom of it. Get to the bottom of it, but get to the bottom of it without pointing fingers. Get to the bottom of it without overreacting, because if you overreact, then the kids will start overreacting. So you have to be the best example in this whole situation. Talk to the school, talk to the other kids' parents, but the most important thing is just talk to your kid. Make sure your kid knows what they're supposed to be doing. Because a lot of parents don't want to take the blame that your kid may be the problem. Your kid may be the bully. Your kid may be the influence. So if you're not talking to your kid and the first thing you want to say is, oh, they picking on my kid because the school keeps suspending my kid, they keep putting them in detention, they keep saying he's a problem, you might want to start listening, because it just might be true. And if you don't get a hold of it early, it's only going to get worse. And the next thing you know, you getting a phone call that, you know, I feel sorry for the parents, man. My condolences. You get a phone call like this, that your child is, like you said, is either going into the grave or they're going out in handcuffs. And that's something the parents should never have to see, that their kids that's still in school getting in trouble, going out in handcuffs, or even burying their kids for something that's probably over nothing. I guarantee this situation is probably over absolutely nothing. It's probably some he said, she said stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And all it's going to take is just having a conversation, getting to the bottom of it. Open up to your kid. Allow your kid to trust you. There are a lot of kids, you know, as older they get, they don't trust you anymore. They trust their peers. And sometimes that's the worst people you can trust, because all influence is not good influence. So if you continue to instill your principles into your kids, you continue to make your kids feel comfortable with talking to you, then you're doing something that's preventing something like this from happening. The best prevention is just having a conversation with your kids and being able to work through the problems at home first. Before you call counselors, before you call anybody, the first thing you need to do is have a conversation with your kid first to make sure you understand what's going on. And if you can't find the solution, then that's when you call somebody that's more professional. That's when you call somebody like me and you, where we can, you know, really, really pour into these kids and try to get them to trust us, to talk to us. And like I tell a lot of these kids, you know, and some people might not agree with it, but if it's like a small problem, I'll tell the kid, your parents will never know about this conversation. They'll never know what we talked about, because I want to earn your trust. This is between me and you. And if it's something that we can solve together, then your parents, I'm not even going to, you know, put that type of pressure on your parents. I'm not even going to give them that headache. We'll handle it ourselves. But if it's something, you know, that's bigger than that, seek some actual counseling. Seek some professional counseling. That's what they're there for. A lot of kids need it, because a lot of these kids are traumatized from what they hear and see at home.
Great advice, man. And I'm gonna just add on to that. As far as your parents, like, you know, once your kids try to reach out, and once your kids, you know, while they're out there seeking help, before that, and you may not even know anything's going on, love on them. Tell them you love them. You know, don't get outworked by someone out in the street. Don't get outworked by somebody's best friend, because what's happening is these kids are out here, and you could love them. You could be providing every day, but the fact that they don't hear it, that means it doesn't exist. The fact that they don't hear you say, I love you, and give you, you know, affection, because don't get so tied up into your 9 to 5 of providing that you forget to provide that one element that everyone in this earth searches for, which is love. Some kids just want love and attention. And like MarTrey stated earlier, some kids are doing this for attention from their parents. And so you have to look at, okay, what can I do? You know, everything within my willpower. And you want to make sure that they know that you love them, and there's an open line of communication to tell them. And like MarTrey said, do not overreact. Because if you're going to get in their trust, right, to really figure out what's going on, right, you know what I'm saying, to really figure out what is happening around them, you're going to have to stop overreacting, and you're going to have to sit down and sometimes use judgment, because you got to get down to the bottom of it, you know. And when you're getting down to the bottom or to the root of anything, sometimes it's a lot of dirt you got to pull up. It's a lot of weeds that you have to pull up. And you got to be willing to do that to really fight for our kids spiritually. You got to keep them prayed up. Emotionally, you got to talk to them. So we constantly have to fight for them. And I just want you all to know that during this process, you know what I'm saying, you have to realize that your kids are growing up in a different era. They're growing up in a whole different generation. So you got to stop comparing what you went through to what they going through, because like MarTrey said, some of you all wouldn't be able to make it. You know, they're going through, it's a different level of pressure. It's a different level of expectation out here in society and in the world. And sometimes that weight becomes too heavy for them to bear, and they find options. You know, there's so many drugs out here now that kids have access to that we didn't even think about when we were younger. A lot of kids drank, they smoked weed, but now they're popping pills. There's so many different forms, you know what I'm saying, of recreational drugs that they can choose from. But the thing is, you must be involved in your child's lives. Know who they hang with. Know where they hang at. Know their teachers. You know, go up to the school and meet their teachers. Get involved. Don't just use PTA night or parent-teacher conference night or just some other night just to push off, because you need to know and look that teacher in the eye and say, okay, is she the type that if something's really going on or if an emergency happens, can I trust my child with them? Now, what's crazy is you wouldn't just leave your child with any old babysitter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but when it comes to teachers, some of you have no contact, have no relationship, and have no idea how your teacher is treating your child. And one, are they competent enough to have your child in their class under their protection? You know, you have to invest time. A lot of times you're spending more money in Jordans than you are investing time into your child. Like I said, see what they're watching on TV. See what they're doing on the internet, because nowadays we give kids too much privacy. When I was young and I lived under my mama's roof, there was no privacy because she was the adult and it was her house. Now your children could be back there bullying people online, making bombs, and you hear that. This is not stuff that I'm making up.
That's right. It's because they're not paying attention. The parents are not paying attention. That was, like you said, that was nothing that my mom didn't know about. Nothing at all. The things that I thought that I was getting away with, she knew about it.
Exactly.
It's because she had eyes and ears everywhere. She had good communication with the teacher. Like I said, like you said, like you wouldn't trust your babies for anybody. Like when those kids are in school, the teachers were the parent heads. I know a lot of people don't like that. I don't like nobody else, telling my kids this and that. They're there. No, when they're there, the teachers wearing the parents' hat. I expect the teachers to say the same things that I would tell my child at home. If my daughter's messing up, I expect the teacher to get on my daughter the same way I get on at home. In her own way, or his own way, or her own way. I expect it because she needs to learn. But there's just so many sensitive parents. They don't want anybody to say anything to their kids. You see it in sports. Why is my son being taken out the game? Why is my daughter this? Why is my daughter that? Because you hear it, you see it, you see what's going on. Like stop trying to make like your child doesn't do anything wrong. Sit them down and teach them the valuable lesson of the mistakes they make.
Exactly, man. And I couldn't agree with you more. We got to keep it real, with our kids. We got to keep it honest. Now, MarTrey, as we bring this episode to a close, what are some closing remarks that you want to get out and make sure that people know that are hearing about this tragedy and that are trying to deal with this tragedy?
Just learn from it. I know it's hard to hear. God doesn't make mistakes. Maybe, my heart goes out to the family, but maybe, this death is to open up our eyes. And the problem with us is it's just so much news that happens every single day that we come across this, and then 2 weeks ago people forget all about this. Don't forget about it. I'm gonna find this young lady's name, and I want her people to remember her name. I want the parents to remember this child's name, the same way you remember the kids that was shot by police. The same way you remember, the people, that die in the military or whatever. The same way you remember all of these names, I want you to remember this name, parents. And I want you to say, I never want my daughter or my son to have to go through this. I never want to get that phone call. And it starts at home. It starts at home. So it's a lesson to be learned here. It is a lesson to be learned here, and I pray for the family that has to deal with this. But there's going to be many more families that have to deal with this if we don't sit down and we don't talk to our kids. If we don't nip this in the bud now, it's only going to get worse. I know when the first real big school shooting happened, and then now we're seeing it just being a normal type of thing. And it's sad that a school shooting is normal. It's sad that kids bringing guns to school is normal now because we didn't nip it in the bud. We took it as a tragedy and we tried to move on without remembering, the hurt that it caused some families. The hurt that it caused some people. So we just have to sit back and we have to hurt. Let this hurt. Like feel for this family. That way you never have to go through that feeling yourself.
Exactly, man. I would like to say I appreciate you for being a guest today. I appreciate all of your insight. You know what I'm saying? I just pray that all the information does not fall on deaf ears, man. I just also pray, man, that that, you know, people, even though they've taken prayer out of schools, that you keep it in your heart. Because like I said,
oh, yes.
we live in a day now where you do not know. You know, when you kiss your kids and you see them off to school in the mornings when they get on the bus or when they drive, you don't know if they're coming home or not. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you that that girl had a normal morning with her parents or parent that morning, had a normal morning with her siblings that morning when they left for school, had breakfast, and she had every intention of coming home and watching her favorite TV shows or, you know, getting on, you know, her PlayStation or Xbox or, you know, getting on social media and refreshing all of her statuses. But guess what? She did not make it home. And for that, I just want you all to know that every life matters and we have to be proactive and not reactive. So like I said, me and MarTrey are only two people, but everyone can make an impact in their own community and everyone can make an impact in your own house. If you don't want to be out there in public and you know, being a motivational speaker or whatnot, start in your own house. And I just want to end it with this, like, know the environment that your kids are in. No other parent, no other adult should know more about your child than you do. So that way, when someone brings something to you, if it's true, then you can deal with it. If not, then you know for sure. But know about your kid. Spend time with your kid. Tell your kid that you love them. Find out why your kid is the way they are. If they come home and just go straight to their room, don't let them just go back there. Go and see how their day was. And that's the problem that we've gotten so used to the media and social media and technology raising our kids and occupying them while we do us as parents. But it's time for us to really get involved. It's time for us to really take the front seat in their life. And like I said, I just want to end it with that. And MarTrey made a great point. Don't allow this to become normalized behavior. You know, we become desensitized to school shootings. We become desensitized to school violence and mass shootings because it happens all the time. Let's do something about this. So I encourage you to share this podcast with teachers, with students, with parents, with children. I encourage you to share this podcast and help me and MarTrey put an end to bad situations like this. And all our condolences on the behalf of MarTrey Stevens, Mighty Motivation, and on the behalf of the IAmTeflonJohn brand and the Art of Reinvention show. All our condolences go out to the family and to the family of the girls that actually had something else to do with this and their parents, and actually the school and the kids that will be affected by it. Because when you do something, you're in the center of it. Even in the epicenter of an earthquake, it still affects everything around it. And there are going to be a lot of kids, there are going to be a lot of parents that are affected by this. And so don't let this tragedy be in vain. Let's learn from it. Let's have healthy conversations and let's get down to the bottom of it. And as I always say, but before we go, I'm going to let MarTrey give out his social media contacts and all that good stuff so you can follow him on social media.
So Instagram at mighty_motivation_MarTrey. Follow me on Instagram. I'll follow back. Facebook, MarTrey Baker Stevens. Like, you know, hit me up on there. I love interacting with people, love connecting with people. Website, NewBedfordGA.com, to where you can find all our content. You can find out about the mentoring program. You can sign your kid up for the mentoring program. And if you just need somebody that can work with, that wants to work with your kid and want to talk to your kid, don't hesitate. You know, that's what we're here for. We're here to serve. You know what I'm saying? We're not here for recognition. We're not here for money. We're not here for any of that. We're here to pour into our youth because, like I said, they're our future, and we want to help as much as possible.
Man, I appreciate you being a guest, man. I appreciate you being a brother of mine. You know, we in this war together, man. And like I said, you know, always say one love, be blessed, but I'm going to just break it down of why I say one love, because that's the love of God, that agape love that we should all strive for. That love should put an end to a lot of situations like this. And I say be blessed because you have two options. Get up in the morning and complain about what you don't have. Focus on what you don't have, or you can make the choice to say I'm blessed, because guess what? Any day above ground is a good one. And I'm going to end that show with this. One love. Be blessed. We would like to thank you for listening to this episode of The Art of Reinvention by TeflonJohn. And we encourage you to share this episode across all your social media platforms. And we also encourage you to visit our website at www.IAmTeflonJohn.com and follow us on all our social media platforms at Facebook.com/RealTeflonJohn, Twitter.com/RealTeflonJohn, and Instagram.com/RealTeflonJohn. And while you're on Facebook, go ahead and like our page so you can receive first-hand notifications every time we go live with a motivational video or any motivational content. And as I always say, one love, be blessed.